kiddos of class 9. I hope you all are doing great. Welcome back to yet another lecture on the third unit, which is titled as The School Life. I'd already made a video on A reading from the same unit, which was titled as Swami is expelled from school. I suggest you to watch it if you haven't. The topic of today's video lecture is going to be a poem which is B reading, and the title is Not Just a Teacher but a Friend. Now before I start explaining you the poem, I'd like to tell you that the poem is very simple yet quite influential. Now the reason why the poem is simple is because of the fact that we do not find a lot of technicalities or a lot of literary devices. The importance is not given towards the technicalities of writing poetry, but on the feelings, on the emotions. We don't know who the poet is. In order to keep the poem natural and realistic, the poet did not choose to reveal his identity. Probably that's the reason why the poem is quite influential, because it's written from a student's perspective, and when we read the poem, we feel as if the student has written it. It's written from a child's perspective, and the poem focuses on the relationship between a teacher and a student. We see that the child here is expressing his gratitude towards his teacher, who played a great role in developing his confidence. Here the teacher seems to have played a very great role in his life, not just as a teacher but as a friend. The child expresses his thankfulness towards his teacher for coming into his life and staying there not just as a teacher but as a friend. So let's see what exactly the teacher did with the child and why the child is so thankful and grateful. Shall we? Yes. I had nowhere to turn, had nowhere to go. This is just something I think you need to know. Now the student begins by saying that when he arrived at the school, he had nowhere to turn and nowhere to go. Like any other child, he was very nervous, he lacked confidence, and he was also bullied, due to which he felt exploited and he felt as if there was nobody to share his feelings with. He felt like he had nowhere to go, he had no place to go. This is just something I think you need to know. Now the child is sharing this with his teacher because he thinks that his teacher needs to know this, because his role in his life is very big, very huge. I don't know what made me trust you. I still remember the day when I told you what I've been through. When I arrived at the school, I was just like any other boy, filled with a lot of nervousness, lack of confidence, and I felt exploited. I had no place to go. But then when I saw you, I don't know what made me trust you. I just felt like sharing everything with you. And I still remember the day when I shared all of my problems with you. I saw a true friend in you. I just don't know what made me trust or believe you. You seemed like a trustworthy person who I can confide in, who I can share my life with. I thought I should run away, go hide in a hole, but then you really brought out my true soul. When I was being bullied, when I was being exploited and humiliated, I felt like hiding somewhere, running away from this place. But then you made me feel so confident. You made me feel so relaxed. Your presence felt like the presence of a true friend. I did not have to pretend in front of you. I was more myself. And you brought out my true soul. As each day grew longer, our trust became stronger. Each time I wanted to cry, you stayed there right by my side. this was not just the end. As each day passed, our trust grew stronger and stronger. I started believing more in you, and I started sharing all of my life with you. Each time I wanted to cry, you stayed there right by my side. So each time I felt like crying, each time I fell apart, you were right there to support me. You were right there listening to all my problems, just like my true friend. Then I moved to the next grade. Boy, was I afraid that our trust would slowly fade, but I was wrong. We are still strong. The student says, as I moved to the next grade, I started fearing. I was scared that I would lose you. I was scared that our relationship, our bonding may not be the same. Because of my performance in the studies, you may not treat me as you used to do earlier. The trust between us would fade. But then I was so wrong. Your love towards me never changed. In fact, it grew even stronger. You loved me just like you did on the very first day of my school. Even though sometimes you don't have time, you at least ask me if I'm fine. So here the student is actually revealing how exactly as teacher has been like a true friend to him. So each time the student was sad, the teacher would ask him, what happened? What's wrong? Are you all right? Now this gesture of love from the teacher would just work like magic, and the student would feel as if he has just been shot with a dose of medicine. Here in this line, I feel like I've just been shot. It doesn't mean that being shot with a gun. Here it means that the gesture of love from the teacher acts as a dose of medicine to the heart and mind of a student. Whenever the teacher comes and asks, what happened? Are you all right? Now that has a great impact on a child's mind. I smile and say, yes, I'm all right. So even though the student is in a worst situation, that concern of the teacher makes him smile and fills him with confidence. He smiles and says, I'm all right. Thank you for asking me. Thank you for being concerned about my well-being. Then I walk away and you're out of sight. I'll just have to wait. I still have my fate. Then I say this and I walk away. The school gets over, the class gets over, and we students disperse to our homes. I feel a little sad because I'll not be able to see you during that day, but then I still feel that I'm lucky because I can still meet you the following day. I still have some time in school. I feel I'm very lucky that I can still see you, meet you, talk to you the following day. I'm so glad that you were there when I was sad, and this is what makes you not just my 9th grade teacher, my friend. Now, why is the student calling his teacher as his friend? Because the student is very glad because of the behavior that he got from his teacher. Every time the student was sad, the teacher approached him and listened to all of his problems. Not only did he listen, but also filled him with confidence, supported him. Each time the boy was sad, the teacher was right there like a true friend. So the student here is very glad for having such a teacher. And this loving gesture, this gesture of concern from his teacher makes him not just his teacher but a great friend. He sees a true friend in his teacher. Now that was a very beautiful poem, wasn't it? So the major theme of the poem is the relationship or the bonding between a teacher and a student. Here, through this poem, we can understand that a teacher has a very great role to play in a student's life. Just a slight gesture of love can work as a dose of medicine and heal all the problems of a student. So that was all for today's video. I hope you loved watching it. We shall meet in the upcoming video with some other topic. Until then, goodbye. Take care.